All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of Diamond Rivera Films, and you're tuned into another episode of Live Discussions with Diamond. And today we have two amazing guests, all the way from New York City, uh, BAILA Society's own Andre and Gabriela.
Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Hello.
hello. Thank you guys so much for coming. And honestly, I'm really thankful that we can have this discussion here because for people who know or don't know, Viola Society is really one of the premier dance companies in New York City, from my point of view, especially in the Latin scene. We've seen over the years the routines that this company puts together. It meshes fluidity with connection. It also meshes the timing with creativity. And nowadays we feel with so many people saying the creativity is lost. I don't think that's true. That's true. I think we have companies just like BAILA Society that really are testaments to what we truly want and what we truly need in our culture and our scene. And again, I thank you, Andre, and I thank you, Gabriela, for being on the platform tonight because it really is amazing to see, even though we're going through this quarantine, that we can
Yeah.
really all
Yeah.
kind of come together and have these type of talks because we realize in our scene when we're at socials, we don't get this much time to just talk because we're
Yeah.
just
Right,
so focused
exactly.
on socializing and just having a good time. But also, it's
Right.
very important for people to see the people beyond the stage. So for me, it's about giving people like yourselves voices. And
Mhm.
so when we do come back into our scene, a lot of the people who will watch this can get a better understanding of you both and feel more connected.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And totally appreciate you and what you're doing with these interviews. And I think overall it helps bring a better sense of community within
Mhm.
the salsa scene because sometimes even like not just like within our local scene, but people worldwide, get a chance to know whoever they see on stage as people or workshops and everything like that. So that just helps bring everybody together and create a stronger unit.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Because I mean, I've seen you guys at congresses or socials, but now having this opportunity to just have like this quiet time, this quality time of picking your brains and understanding your experiences is special because I think the key thing in what we call social dancing, the first word is social. So being able to
Mhm.
Yeah.
have this moment to just talk means a lot. And like I do with all my guests, we're going to know exactly what you're doing presently and what you've done and what you're planning for the future. But I always love to take it back to the beginning because we have to understand who Andre and Gabriela were before they were who they were before the being the performance directors of BAILA Society.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yes.
again, thank you. We're right now we're gonna go on a nice journey of both of you guys, and again, the floor is yours. Whoever wants to start first, and we're ready to go.
You want to
Okay.
go?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I have been dancing all genres since I was a kid, since I was about 9 years old. And when I was about 13 or 14 is when I picked up salsa. And I started dancing at the Lorenz Latin Dance Studio in Glendale, which is where I met Andre. And I was there throughout high school. I got a lot of everything that I learned in the beginning, that's where it came from. And while I was there, I performed as a student. And a lot of the people that still perform now are people that they were students there with me.
Mm.
So I was there with Andre. We were both students together. Elvis Collado, he was one of the students that was there with me. We danced together also. So it's nice to see, like, now, years
Mhm.
later, to see kind of how everyone has branched out and where we're all kind of in different places, but we're all still very close. Will was there with us as well. And when I was about 18 is when I joined BAILA Society. I look very young, and I always have. um, so while I was at Lorenz, I didn't have a lot of opportunities to perform because I looked very young, which is what led me to kind of think about other places that I could go to just to kind of get more of like that stage showcase performance kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what eventually led me into BAILA Society. And I knew that Atoy had also had ballet and classical training, and that's really what brought me in.
Mm. Okay.
That's really what brought me in. And that Volando was a new thing. BAILA Society was still a new company. When I got there, they were about 3 years old. And
Okay.
Volando was like all this ballet and legs and this. And I was like, oh, I think I could do this stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's intriguing.
yeah, it was nice to see something different, you know?
Mhm.
So that's where I started. And then a little while later, Dre joined me.
Yeah, I also started at Lorenz Glendale. So Lorenz has grown into like this big conglomerate of studios now. They like expanded over the years. But back when we were there, it was just one. So Glendale is the original location.
Mhm.
I actually started dancing salsa because of a girl.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, she dropped out and I kept doing it because I was having a good time. And I eventually decided, hey, you know, let me try performing because I hadn't performed since high school because I was on the step team back in high school. So just figured like it was just an opportunity to just, you know, get on stage, have a good time. And I performed on the semi-pro team at Lorenzo. Mambo Classico was the name of it way back when. And from there, I switched over to BAILA Society after a good friend of mine, John, who now runs Raíces Latin Dance with his wife, Lindy, out in Worcester. So this was when he was still based in New York.
Yeah.
He had done one of the BAILA Society's early performance classes. It was like PC4.
That was with me.
Yeah, so Gabby was also in that. And he didn't as much invite me as much as tell me that I'm going. He's like,
we all know people like that. We all know people like that.
He's like, yeah, I'm performing this weekend. You're going. I was like, all right. So then I saw it and I liked it. It was a good time. And you know, I ran into Daniel and Atoy while they were there, and they had signed up for the 5th performance class right after that showcase. So from there, I signed up and I've been there since.
Gotcha. Yeah. And for me, a question I definitely have for both of you is, from your experiences at Lorenz and being able to perform and being able to travel, what were those experiences like? I mean, we're going back maybe 2008, 2009 time.
Yeah, 2007, 2008.
Yeah. What was that atmosphere like? Or because you know how so many people say, man, the scene used to be like this. In your opinion, I would love to get an understanding on what you took from that experience of those times.
So back then, when I was still dancing with Mambo Classico at Lorenz, John, who also pushed me to come with him at the performance class, he was also my teammate there. So I've known him for some years. I actually known him before I even started dancing salsa.
Okay.
So it was, in terms of how the scene was, we kind of like had our own friendly unit, and it was just like our unit going out and just meeting others. It was fun. In terms of like the changes, they change. That's just life. Yeah. So things change, and one of the things that I've noticed, because now 2006 I started dancing salsa. It's 2020 now, so like 14 years at this. One of the things that I've started to notice is more about perception. That when you are a new salsa dancer, like the people that are on the stage they like on this huge pedestal, and then of course as you get better, or even they sometimes they get older and they not dancing as much, and then the people not noticing that now it's their turn to kind of transition to that kind of position as the pros, and so that dynamic is different, and that changes your perception. So it's like, well, you're just different in a different place.
Absolutely.
Not so much like the scene has like necessarily like, you know, been gutted and it's not exactly how it was. Right.
Right. Exactly.
It's like you are now in a different slot. Your eyes are different. How you look at things changed. How you feel the dance, that has changed. And also now in your position to maybe even teach and influence the beginners that are coming in. Because the way the scene thrives is how beginners are treated. Like new people coming in is what keeps things going.
Exactly. Just to kind of add to what Andre was saying, when BAILA Society first started, and even now, they kind of broke a lot of barriers. And so one of the things were, like I mentioned before, Volando doing that little bit of like cabaret kind of style. In 2010, I believe, we still had a hard-hitting salsa, but it was algo más, and girls wore tutus. So that was a bunch of lifts. and salsa dancing and all that stuff, but no one had ever, or that we had seen, had done anything similar to that before. I think that just to add to the perception, like it can be perceived as this is great, this is amazing, this is new, or it can be perceived as kind of what's going on. I don't really know if I'm feeling this, if I'm not feeling this. But as you grow and as you move along, you see that it's okay for all that that variety. It's not one specific thing. There's lots of changes that always, they come and go. The scene changes. It's rolling. So there's always new people coming in and older people coming back in, or people leaving or coming in and out. So it's nice that, as you continue to progress through the scene and socially, you see how things are different, but not necessarily taking a step back. It's not that things are not progressing and getting better. They're just getting a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. And at least before I elaborate, I want you to know, just like all the rest of the interviews, we do have comments that are coming in. So we'll be posting them throughout the interview. Like already we have people chiming in. Man, it's honestly, for me, I appreciate what you guys are saying so much, because that is a notion that a lot of people understand and agree with, because there's a difference of saying the scene has fully changed and the scene has evolved.
Right.
We realize that, like you said, you've been dancing since 2006. You guys both, Gabriela, I believe you were dancing, you started around that time as well.
I started, around 2005, salsa dancing.
So even when we're saying it, like, that's 15 years dedicated to this art form. When you realize with our scene and our culture, things evolve. There's always a new generation. There's always people who are saying, I miss it when it was like this. Just like people say they miss the old Club Gache when it was
right.
That was
with the old cash register.
Yep.
Yeah. Just that old school feeling. You realize when we can laugh about it, but we're reminiscing, and it's like those moments we sometimes take for granted. And we realize, like, over time we had those moments, but as we get older, things evolve. So it's not so much that things won't ever be the same, but that's okay. Right. And we realize, just like you guys had started in Lorenz from the Glendale location, this is when Lorenz was one school. Right. So realizing people like yourself, people like Elvis Colado, people like Will Nieves, and others who have branched off, it's, again, all you did was evolve. It's not so much just moving on. You've evolved. It comes to a point in every dance studio when even your own owners sometimes will tell you, or teachers, hey, you've done as much as we can. We've offered you as much as we can, but we know that you're searching for more. And realizing a place like BAILA Society, my first introduction was at places like Club Cacte, and seeing these routines that Daniel and Atoy did with their students and their performers alongside. For me, it was not so much just it was different, it was needed. Because I think, in my opinion, what happened was, and I'd said this in other interviews that with a lot of my guests, that what happened was our culture saw different companies with routines and said, this is the standard. And then the creativity, I believe, somewhat got lost in translation. It was more people seeing like, wow, that routine looks amazing. I want to do that, rather than saying, oh, I like this routine. I want to learn from them.
Exactly.
Right. From transitioning from evolving from Lorenz and going into BAILA Society, what was that experience like of kind of leaving that part of the world of just, with Lorenz and now entering into really, they're both professional companies, but, with BAILA Society, that's really on more of an adult level. How was that transitional period? Was it fairly easy, or was some tough challenges ahead?
For me, I guess in terms of dance transition, it felt like it felt very easy, just because I felt that I had found exactly what I was looking for. I did get a lot more opportunities to perform. Where it was a little different for me is because I was young. I was 18 when I got into BAILA Society. And right away, I started performing with the repertory company. I was in the company for about 3 months, and then I was off to Europe. So in that way, it was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm so happy. I love it. But at the same time, I also knew that I was 18. So it was strange to kind of go through that transition. I was just starting college, but I wanted to be a dancer. So I had to kind of pick and choose which way I was going to go and how I was going to get there. But I guess in terms of the dancing itself, it was a little bit of a weird transition because I hadn't yet figured out how to kind of mold all the different kinds of dance I'd learned into one thing yet. Mm-hmm. So there was still like more, a little bit of a training period. But I guess in terms of dancing, it was like, it was very good. It made me very, very happy. But the transition itself, just because I think of my age, I knew that I had been in, I had been to socials, I'd been to congresses, I'd been to all kinds of stuff, but I was always so young. So to now know that I was going into it and I was a professional, I was a performer, I was traveling, it was very different.
Gotcha. What about yourself, Andre? How did you feel?
In terms of the transition, I had a goal already set in my mind when I got to BAILA Society. And that was driven by the fact that they did travel, that they were getting on those world stages and you get to try different foods and everything. Yeah. And so like that was what my big motivator was, to actually just get good at salsa. Because I started, when I made it into the company, I started with Basso Alto, which was the semi-pro team at the time. Yeah. So it was a repertory company that did all the worldwide traveling. So that's where my target was. I needed to get good enough to be up there. And once I got there, I wanted to make sure that I looked like I belonged on stage between dancing with everyone else, with Daniel and Otto. I didn't want to be like that one guy's like, why is he there? Who the hell is that? So I wanted to just, develop my skills to that point. And one of the things that I do credit Daniel and Otto for is a lot of the discipline that they invoked within the studio, right? They were very, very major sticklers for detail and timing. And those concepts stick with me till now. Even I'm really, really, when Gabby and I choreograph something, we try to pay attention to the music, because musicality and all the things, you want to play with the song in a good way. And not be afraid to experiment as well, which is another thing that they also did a lot when we got there, is just in terms of what you mentioned in terms of creativity, right? Not being afraid to try something that you're not. And then one of the things that's also good about being a salsa dancer is that salsa itself, it's very, very malleable, and you can fit a lot of things into it, and you can mix and match and pull things out. And also the range of just the music itself, like you have your soft songs, you got your hard hitting songs, you got your kind of in between songs, you got your happy songs, and then how do you evoke the mood within your movement, right? And certain songs, they change as you dance it, which is also a layer as well. So again, what do you do? Right. And then trying to create a definition for what to do is where you can insert your creativity.
Yeah, absolutely, because you realize that when transitioning from Lorenz into BAILA Society, you knew you were hitting a different mark in your career. You realized there was a sense of, hey, I'm learning this and I'm having fun. So now I know when I transition into this company, I am now putting myself for an opportunity that I would love to take, but I understand that it's going to take a lot out of me as well.
Yeah,
right.
Realizing having it as a career. At one point myself, I understand like the long hours it takes.
Yeah.
Money.
Yes.
Like
3.5 hour rehearsals.
Yeah.
And then when it's 3.5 hours, you're still not leaving. It's almost like till you get it done. But you realize that the hard work and the dedication that it takes to create, in my opinion, the masterpieces that BAILA Society had created, because when you talked about creativity and the musicality, it was also the fluidity. Because as we talked privately before this, I was a spectator watching companies like BAILA Society, and a very big difference between this company and many others was the lack of fear. The lack of fear on stage, because this is something, especially in New York, and we understand this. There are places that you can go to an event you're performing at, and these people are stone cold like this.
Yep.
Yes.
And I say that in all honesty because we know, we laugh about it, but we've been to those events that there's a different atmosphere. There's a different when you get there, people are always going to have fun, but when it comes time to perform, especially in New York, more people, honestly, and I say this truthfully, are looking for people to fail before they can succeed. They're waiting for you, especially if your group has a trick and they've seen it before. They want to see that everybody is on time. And we realize that, you know, within our culture, there are people, there are companies and people that are unified, but that division of people that really just go to see you mess up is it can be nerve-wracking. But at the same time, seeing people or companies like BAILA Society, when you performed, it was the lack of fear, because the time it took for you to create this, it was much harder for you, I believe, at rehearsal than it would be on stage. Because again, what you do and what you do in practice is what you're going to do on stage. You know, for me, I would love to know from both of you, because I do get to talk to people who are salsa dancers, but a question I don't get to ask that much, and I'm remembering, is, can you let me know some of your favorite socials or favorite moments in your dance career, maybe prior to BAILA Society, or just the experience of being at socials, what that was like?
Want to lead off?
You can lead.
I can lead off. Well, Cachet, as you mentioned, because it was like, you know, back then, an old Cachet, that was like, you know, the place. And there was like this whole mystique around it. And, you know, me as a young in dance terms, as a young dancer, going out to Club Cachet, you know, like the Thursday nights, and you got to go downstairs and your cell phone reception is gone. And and then you want to drink, but you didn't bring any cash, and then it's cash only, and they got the old register with the big buttons, and they type in all the stuff. But like you're there, and then it's like, you know, everyone is there because they like this dance and they like the music, and it was like this whole range of just people also that you meet. Like, that's one of the things that's awesome about the scene, is that you can meet someone who's a bus driver in their day life, a teacher, a doctor, a librarian, whatever, and everyone is just, you know, there and they're enjoying themselves. And that's one of the really, really cool elements. And then you had a place like Cachet, which was also pretty well known, not just in New York, but like, you know, globally, and people would fly in, and then you get that mixed into the mix as well, which was also a nice, awesome element to kind of like layer on top of it. So it was really, really good. Nowadays, I don't get to social dance as much as I like to, because well, even before like COVID, because like when you wind up in like the director position, like one of the things, you get a lot less time for yourself, because you got to also deal with teammates and choreography and all that stuff. So I don't have much time to hit socials as often as I do, but Salsa Mania would be like one of my favorite ones when I can get there.
Yes, by Alex and Maestro, correct?
Yes. He's a good guy, that guy.
Yeah. I guess for me, my go-to social has always been Jimmy's, or the early Sunday socials, Jimmy's and LVG. Sundays are like an easygoing day, and dance is very much a therapy for me. So once I get there, I'm like, okay, I can forget everything that happened last week, whatever. I don't have anything to kind of be worried about. This is where I want to be. And it's always been that way for me. And one of the other things, kind of like what Dre was saying about like getting to meet people that come from different backgrounds. I love that part of it. But also when I went to socials, it was interesting to get different leads and to watch other followers and kind of see how you can, like, I guess kind of pick what I like and what I wanted to maybe try on my own, just to kind of expand my own dancing. So it was really that I went there to kind of grow a little bit more. And it's an easy way to do it, because when you're in rehearsal, like, yes, you're learning new things. Yes, you have to work hard. You have to work on your, on your core and on things like that to learn choreography. But when you're social dancing, everything is on the fly. So you have to be like, what is this? Do I have it? Do I not have it? We'll figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? It's that much more relaxed. But at the same time, it's like, oh, but I didn't know that I can do that.
Yeah, because I would definitely say that you're exactly right, because a lot of people get the misconception that some of your favorite dancers, they were maybe they were classically trained and they went to these schools and they got better through that. But no, a lot of your dancers, even if they were classically trained or not, learned so much more in the social dance world. And realizing, because again, like you said, you're in your performance, and before we get to like your as being performance directors and what BAILA Society is about, what you said hits home, because you learn so much on that dance floor dancing with random people. You understand your body more. You understand what your comfort level is. You understand maybe your spin limit. You understand movement and placement, because in these social settings, you don't have that space, that free range all the time. So you have to compromise with the space that you're given. And you have to make do for 3 to 5 minutes on a song. And then literally you go back out to sit down and somebody else is grabbing you. This was our reality. Yeah, I mean, especially with Cache, it used to get very hot. And it's places like LVG, places like Jimmy's, places like Cache, places like old school Mambo Fatigues. There was a lot of socials then, but also now we have with Salsa Mania, and many other socials, Toda la Noche at Stepping Out. I've realized that, again, our culture has evolved. And we have to realize that, especially with our favorite dancers, they learned to become better when they were able to socialize with other people on the dance floor. Because performing is totally different than social dancing. And you can tell a lot from a performer or a dancer by the way they perform and the way they social dance.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, that's also like when when we perform at events, no matter where we go or how jet lagged we may or may not be, we make sure we social dance each night, and that's something Daniel and Atoy made sure we did while we were with them, and then we've carried on with the team that we're dealing with managing now. That everyone is out there. We go out, we dance. We be nice to the people, of course. Dance with the people who took the workshop. Dance with the people who may think about taking the workshop, because sometimes we're out there, we haven't taught out whatever workshop that we may be teaching for that weekend, or even before we even performed. And now we made a connection with someone we met on the social floor, and then now they want to see us. They want to, see what we got. They want to see us on stage. They want to take the workshop, try to learn from us. All these things, they all, intertwine and come together. And it's really, 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 really important just to get out there and dance with the students, make them feel important and valued, and so that they can keep things going.
Again, I agree, because especially what you said with Daniel and Atoy, letting you guys know, just because you were performers, that didn't negate you from being social with the attendees, because this is how the name gets much larger. It's not just what you do on stage, it's what you do off the stage.
Exactly.
And it's the reputation that you leave behind, because and from my experience, being a performer and being a spectator, I know what it feels like as a spectator when these same performers, they don't even come out to social dance. They kind of come and they leave, rather than the ones that you just saw perform and you can have a simple conversation with and a great dance. That resonates more. So, I mean, people like Daniel and Atoy were very essential and amazing to give you guys that knowledge, even though you probably have known that from your previous, but to reiterate it and to tell you, no matter where you're from, again, when you're in this field as a professional, everyone is looking at you.
Exactly.
And nowadays everyone also has a camera and instant access to the internet as well, so everything can just stick and be permanent in a heartbeat.
No, and you're saying that, oh my God. And it was honestly a guy named Guy Lavelle, that a really good supporter of mine here, and he said this because when I had the conversation with Thomas from Santo Rico, he said that the creativity definitely got lost somewhere when social media came about. That is, from my opinion, I agreed, because when the cameras started coming out,
Yeah.
then it was like, wow, I see this routine and this routine. It's very similar. And then, just I think over the years, the inclusion of the social media and people filming all the time, it was beneficial.
Yeah.
But also for a lot of people who've worked hard, it took away the creativity from others of saying, no, I really don't want to train. I'd rather just take a few classes here, pick and choose what I like, and then do something. But what you guys have done, going from Lorenz and into BAILA Society and furthering your passion, it means a lot. So what I would love to know now is, getting into BAILA Society and becoming performers after, how was the transition from being performers to now being performance directors?
You want to start this one?
Okay. So like I had mentioned before, I've been dancing my whole life. I hadn't been teaching dance my whole life. And if I had, it was only just to kids. So never to adults. I never had to teach adult dance classes of any kind. So for me, when I first started teaching at Basso, it was a performance class. So performance classes are, students get 10 weeks, but we create a brand new choreography for them. We put it in, they do a performance at a black box, they get lights, they get costumes, like a whole production with social and everything. So that was really the first chance that I had. And when I did my first performance class, it was with Daniel. So I had to kind of be like, okay, I got it. Like I had to make sure I was on top of everything that I was doing. And just having to choreograph it and having to have like that kind of connection just with one person, it was interesting. It was a lot to learn, but it was very different from what I was used to. And kind of taking that forward to when teaching other classes, I kind of realized how important it was to have kind of like that partner connection, but also when I'm teaching students, that it's not so much how difficult it is what you're teaching, how many students you have, how fast you go. The students really want a teacher that's going to go into things, go things in depth with them. And it's really going to help them to learn something. It's no fun when you go to class and you're like, wow, they did this super poppin' pattern, but I didn't get it. Like, that's like, you were just like, So for me, as going from a, I guess, performer to a performance director, is kind of working on always having to build that connection with students and also with my team and also with my partner, just to kind of stay so that we're all on the same page. We always talk. We talk all the time. If something is going on in rehearsal and is not sticking, then we'll take time to stop and be like, hey, what's going on? Let's figure this out. And things like that are important. I feel like a lot of the time, we also do it with our students. It's very easy for something to kind of not work when you're in class or in rehearsal and just kind of be like, that was rehearsal, like, But then it sticks with you. And then you go to your next rehearsal and you're like, man, remember that thing happened yesterday? Like, and it makes things a little difficult. So working on staying connected, being open, sharing how we're feeling, what we're doing with students and team, for me has been the biggest thing that I still try to work on, day by day.
In terms of transitioning from performer to director, attacking how I look at the dance. So when I say attacking how I look at the dance, as just a performer or a dancer, you're just trying to execute. When you're in a position where you're directing, you need to be able to pull both skills and develop technique and get that from people. And whoever your constituents may be, whether it's our performance class series when we're dealing with our large crop of students and getting them ready for a stage show, or with our company team, and everyone also comes in with different skills. Everyone learns differently, but we all need to get on the same page to execute what we do on stage. So me as a director, how do I do that? How do I get everybody to corral everyone around the same circle? So with that in mind, that's also sometimes folks would like see me at like a Congress, and I'll be like in a beginner workshop, and I'll stand in the back and I'll shamelessly be there. And I'm there for two reasons. One, just to work on my own fundamentals, because a lot of times I don't have the time to do it as a director. So that's the best time I have to take class. Is usually at a Congress. So I will wake up early and grab a breakfast and then go to workshops, but also just to see how other people teach things.
Yes.
Right. And that also may help expand how I teach folks when I get to whatever teaching scenario I may be in, whether teaching a workshop or teaching my performance class or training my company team. Because again, everyone learns things differently. So if the way I'm delivering my messaging one way isn't getting through to get what I need, maybe I need to switch tactics, and then just adding more tools to my tool set and, helping me get there to be in a better place.
Absolutely. Because in what you're saying, both of you, is really amazing, but it shows the full transparency and the honesty and the genuineness that you guys share for this scene. Because being performers to being directors, but always going back to the fundamentals and realize, like you said, shamelessly, that you can go into congresses, because I guess for so many years people have the perception that if you are a director or a performer, that excludes you from going back and learning the basics, because maybe people will deem that something is wrong or you don't know everything. But again, you don't know everything. Right. And it is great to, and like you said, because you don't have that time to always go to classes during the school year of the dance school year, and you get to go to congresses or festivals or weekenders, and those 3 days you can dedicate to learning from top to bottom, from beginner to advanced. That really shows that you guys are really appreciative of all the levels, because you once were beginners.
Right.
Everybody has to understand you can be a professional, but at the end of the day, everyone started at the same point.
Yep.
Exactly.
So it is important to see that the directors of companies can go and take these classes shamelessly without feeling that they're losing their value. And one thing I've noticed, and I've definitely talked to you guys about, and you've let me know personally, was how much with BAILA Society, it really is, and I've seen from the videos pre-COVID, from the classes you guys have had and partner works, the melting pot that BAILA Society is. Like, I remember you said it was like the United Nations.
Yeah.
Because I would love for you guys to expound on that, because that is a testament to true inclusivity. And realizing you're letting, because to be honest with you, I know a lot of dance schools that they don't purposely do it, but a lot of the people there are Hispanic, maybe Dominican, Puerto Rican. There are a few people of other nationalities and cultures, but it's not a rarity, but it's awesome to see a company like yourself that just has a free flow of people of different cultures just coming into this one place and learning.
Even before Gabby and I started steering the performance ship with the school, in terms of the people that come in the door, is just literally like a melting pot. I guess we're kind of also representative of New York in general, like how everyone is here in the city, and then we're sitting and we're teaching and performing and based in Manhattan, and being welcoming of whoever comes in. So as long as you are, respectful of, your fellow students or the company members and the instructors, it's all good. Everyone's super friendly. We don't want to shun anybody. And like you mentioned a little while ago, that we were all also beginners once, and also tell that to my team. I emphasize that, like, hey, there was a time that you didn't know something, just like there's a time that I didn't know something, and never ever forget that, because whoever's today's beginners could be tomorrow's superstars. You just don't know.
Yes.
All right. So you don't know. So let people find their way. Be patient with them if they're new. Be patient with them even if they're not new, because people make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And everyone can learn and work together, and we can all have a nice, real good time.
Absolutely.
Right. When years ago, BAILA Society was one of like the first places to kind of offer international classes online.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we would get people coming from other countries, and sometimes they didn't speak English.
Yeah.
Like we've had people that have come and they only spoke Japanese, or they only spoke French, or they only spoke whichever language. And we figured out in class, just through dancing, through the movement, because we were all familiar with that one piece, how to get through the class, how to still be able to connect with one another. And just like Dre said, like a big melting pot, like how New York is, like that's kind of how BAILA Society has always been. We've always had so many different people from so many different places come in to take class with us. And it's nice to still be able to connect with people just through dancing.
Yeah. And for me, realizing, especially like I remember when BAILA Society was one of the first ones doing these online classes, and people have to understand, before pre-COVID, with these online classes, it gave people from other countries a way to connect with BAILA Society, and that in return had them come to these classes and become part of the families. And I realized, especially looking at your classes from the previous times, again, that melting pot, people of all different shades, all different colors, all different just identities just coming in, and it's a safe space. For me, realizing now in the position that we're in, especially with COVID and the quarantining phase, we realize that, we really do miss going back to dancing. And for a lot of us, and I get it. And I can tell you this, for me, I've been one of the people, good or bad, speaking out of the people in our culture that don't understand that, we aren't at the finish line yet. And I get when people want to dance, and I completely understand. But when you're doing it unsafely, you're actually just making the process longer for us to come back. For me, I would like to know, when this period happened, around maybe February or March, how did that kind of, the lack of dancing, did it affect any of you in any type of way?
Well, early on, like when things first kind of like crashed, I have to say, we had just gotten back from Salsa in Hawaii, so we was like out there, enjoying ourselves. It was like mid-February, around there. We were out there, did 2 shows, taught 2 workshops out there. Super awesome event, super nice people, really enjoyed ourselves, fun in the sun. And like some of the COVID talk was around. We were like, yeah, this will be a thing, like Ebola popped up and scared everyone, and then it was gone. And then, swine flu popped up, and then it was gone. It's like, oh yeah, this will just be one of those. So it really didn't hit us how disruptive it was going to be until maybe about April. Because first, like, okay, it's going to be 2 weeks. All right, it's going to be a month. And then it's now 2 months. And then it's like, okay, this is really going to go on into who's no when. And then now we're sitting here, August going on September, and not really sure when things are going to reopen completely, when it's going to be safe to do partner work again.
Yes, that's a key thing. That's like, I tried to cut you off, but once you said partner work, that was my thing. Because, like, again, we're going through a pandemic. We don't have a vaccine. And you also have to understand is, of course, we want the safety measures of hand sanitizers. But I think, and I'm going to be, this is me, my opinion. I have been to socials when people don't wash their hands. So I'm hoping, and now I have to hope, that if I'm at a social, especially if it's an indoor social, even with a mask on, that the person I'm dancing with actually washed their hands before them. And it's like, and I say that because, again, like I want our culture and I want our scene in New York to prosper from this, because I've also seen the effect of now studios no longer being available. Studios closing down, places like Copacabana closing for good. And I'm definitely going to get back to you, Gabriela, but especially what you just said, like, it means so much, because hey, partner work, we all love partner work, but especially with this virus, footwork is right now.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yes, but to you, Gabriela, you can definitely expound on that if you like.
So it was kind of I feel that it was kind of one extreme into the other because we were at this event and it was dancing. It was a full weekend, dancing, shows, workshops, this, that. And then we came back and I remember landing, getting here, and it was on the news that there was a case of the virus that had come in from California or to California or something. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is here. And then we had about a week of rehearsal and then everything shut down. So it was literally one to the other. And it was, I mean, thinking about it now in hindsight, it's like, wow, it's a good thing we went over there. We got to go to the beach. We got like a mini vacation. We got to do some shows.
We had a last hurrah.
We had a last hurrah. And now, good thing that we did.
No, it's true because like I'm thinking about it now. Like you said, March and April, it seems so long ago.
Yeah.
And again, it makes us reminisce. I mean, maybe I know I'm not the only one I could say, but I do find myself watching old videos of socials and seeing people.
I do it too.
And like you said, you guys kind of had your last hurrah of like salsa in Hawaii. You came back and it was like, okay, I guess that's the last thing we've done for now. But you know, I've seen, and I want to definitely touch on a question I have before we end the COVID topic. But with this COVID now, what do you really see, in your opinion, is the future for this salsa scene when it does come to stuff like this in COVID? Do you feel like we can get back to where it was, or living in this new normal? What do you see the changes being?
You want to lead?
I mean, yeah, I'll see.
Yeah.
I think eventually we can get back to where we were. I think it's going to take time, and we're going to have to be patient for a long while before we can get back to where we were previously. I mean, I understand the difficulty. Everybody's itching to do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's something that if you're very involved in the scene, you're used to being out, you're used to being social, you're used to being in rehearsal and dancing, and, you know, you're used to the whole thing. So it's a weird transition into doing it all the time to kind of not doing it at all, and then maybe sometimes. But I think it's just patience goes a long way.
Yeah. Patience is definitely going to be crucial, because I also do think that at some point, you know, we will be out dancing and socializing again, because medical science is going to catch up with this thing at some point.
Right.
It's just a matter of when. So whenever that is, we'll find out when it happens. But until then, patience is going to be key, like Gabby said, because rushing into it is also just going to prolong everything. Everything's going to be, you know, you don't want to create more outbreaks, and then people can't get treated, and people can't get to the hospital. People getting their grandmas sick, and then, you know, you got this whole, you know, death deal situation that no one really actually wants, regardless of how they view the virus itself. You know, you're dead, right? There's no, so, you know, having patience to, you know, wait for the right measures and the precautions, or in the vaccine or treatment or whatever comes first, is available, so that you can do things safely, so that we can go out and have a good time safely. We can partner work again, because partner work is still half of this dance, and we can't do without it. So at some point, you know, we'll get there.
Definitely. I appreciate both of your messages, because again, I know you guys care so much about not just the community, but you also care about what BAILA Society means to people. And, you know, I definitely hope, of course, in the future that we can all reunite. And, you know, again, we're going to be living under a new normal, and we just have to adapt. We have to, times evolve, and we have to evolve with it. We can't stay in the past. And this next question I have, and this is especially because you guys really started out as with salsa dancing. This is a question that somebody had posed to me. And many people have seen, I used to perform salsa primarily. I became a media artist, and I started filming salsa and bachata events. And I want your honest opinion. Did you feel, especially did you notice the kind of, there was the resurgence of how bachata really got into the dance community more? Because again, in my opinion, it was salsa for so many years. And then out of nowhere, 2013, 2014, especially in New York, bachata really started creeping. And I started seeing so many people now, our favorite salsa dancers, now becoming bachata dancers. I've always wanted to get the opinion of people like yourself who've been so heavily in the dance culture as a whole, not just salsa, but you've been trained in different fields. What is your opinion on the inclusion of this new bachata community that's kind of just broken like wildfire, in my opinion?
Overall, I my honest opinion is whatever floats your boat. Are you having a good time? Yeah, and then in terms of like, the salsa dancers that have switched over to bachata primarily, is people getting in where they fit in. So maybe they found a niche and it's hitting a certain vein within them creatively as well, and that's fine. It's no problem. Like, even if you just stuck with salsa and the stuff you may experiment with on stage, is you mentioned some of the like with social media, how some of the creativity has left the dance. As people are looking for the easy applause, really. They see a show going on, they see the video and they say, okay, I do that, I'll get some claps and
Thank you.
some kudos.
Yeah.
So for a professional salsa dancer to switch over to bachata, maybe it's genuine, maybe it's not. That depends on the individual. But if it's in your heart to switch over to that and do that, and that's what pulls you more, then go for it. By all means, enjoy it. Do what you got to do. It's all good.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. And, there's different creative outlets. It's nice that we have different options, that we can learn different styles of dance and we can put them on stage and put our own twist on them.
Yeah.
It's nice that there's, like salsa, there's a zillion options. The same can be for bachata. We can just go either, however we see fit. It's just nice that I guess people are more confident in trying new things, like we have been mentioning earlier. They're more confident to try new things, to step out of their comfort zone and just try this new outlet.
Yeah, and for me, again, I say it respectfully, I was there when bachata really started coming in, because remember, we was at salsa congresses, and the bachata room was like a little bitty room for maybe an hour or two.
Yeah.
And fast forward, now it's primarily bachata rooms. And don't get me wrong, even in New York Salsa Congress, salsa rules. But now the inclusion of a bachata room, of a kizomba room, of a zouk room, that goes to show that, again, salsa is just one ingredient in the melting pot of dance.
Exactly.
There's so many different styles, so many different genres that people honestly are attracted to. It really goes to show is that these promoters and organizers now have to pay attention even more. And just like
like the between like the salsa, bachata, zouk, and the kizomba, the common thread is community, right? So it's the community feel, because like people get into these dances. Some legit want to learn a dance. Some just want to just go meet people.
Yeah.
It's
true.
They literally say, hey, I just want to go meet a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Maybe I just moved to New York, or maybe I just moved to America. What's a good way to meet people?
Right.
Let's try some dancing.
Absolutely.
Go out, hang out, make some new friends, and then of course you meet someone dancing. You automatically have a common interest. Whatever else is you may do, you already has settled on one common interest, and that we both like to dance. Yeah. And then friendships or even relationships can even grow from there.
Right.
That is definitely, that's something I completely understand, because again, it is about the community. Even though it is about the product, it truly is about the community, because the community, it helps the profit of these organizations. We as the community really dictate on if an event will be successful or not, because you can bring the talent, but if the people don't show, then there is nothing there. And again, it's talking to people like yourself that have been in this community for many years and have seen the evolution of our community change over time. And some people could say for the better or for the worse. In my opinion, it's changed for the better. because
I
again,
agree.
we have to grow. And
Yep.
you know, there are people that are not going to conform to certain ideals. Just like now, you know, people want to get back into dancing, but there are a lot of the directors now who are opening up their studios and making sure that safety guidelines are in place because it's about the community first.
Right.
Exactly.
Before the money rolls in, you need the people to come in. So
Right.
Right.
for me, talking to both of you and just seeing the ultimate genuineness that you have and the appreciation you have for the community, because I see how much the community has given so much back to you.
Mhm.
How, you know, being able to perform and travel. I mean, to be honest, I've heard so much about salsa in Hawaii, how just the people are just so accepting, and how
Yep.
Yeah.
that world out there, it's amazing because again, there's so many dancers in New York, and they don't get that opportunity sometimes to go and travel outside of their state.
Yeah.
So it's important that we learn the experiences of dancers like yourself that can say, hey, I went here and I danced and I loved it, and you should too. Because
Mhm.
again, you know, now realizing with COVID and a lot of us are at home, what I see it doing now is allowing a lot of the artists like yourself to now replan and game plan something fresh and new, because at
Hmm.
this
Mhm.
point in time we have to adapt.
Yep.
Because
Right.
sooner or later your studio will open. Sooner or later you will have classes. But the people now are going to hold everyone accountable and making sure like, hey, we are living under a new normal. And I'm hoping that when BAILA Society does reopen, you reopen to love, and you reopen to the same people and more people who again want to dance, but of course first safety is first. But
Yes.
you know,
Right.
people
Right.
like yourselves that I can just talk to here and realize you care so much about the people that again the success will follow. You know, and it's been wonderful talking to you guys tonight, because again, we need, I love highlighting people like yourselves that ultimately want to see our community grow
Yes.
instead of
Yeah.
be at a standstill. And for me, I always ask my guests before closing, what are the messages that you want to leave our this audience and myself with?
You go. Let me go.
You.
Okay, me first. All right. Um, there is going to be an end to this whole pandemic situation, whether COVID is here permanently or not. Like, again, medical science will catch up to it. At some point, it's going to be something that's manageable.
Yeah.
So when that happens and we're able to do partner work again, and when we're all out there and shaking hands and, you know, just enjoying ourselves, just again, just having that patience with people and being understanding and be accepting of whoever's around you, whether they're beginner, regardless of their skill set, regardless of what background they're from, um, their ethnicities, you know, whatever it is. We're all here to dance, enjoy the music, especially because the music itself, even outside of the dancing, salsa music is very, very, very rich.
Mhm.
All right, there's a lot of layers to it, and creating that safe space where we can just go out, and whether it's a stress relief while we're there, or meeting people while we're there, or just killing time, that we're all out there just to have a good time, enjoy the social, enjoy the music, and just, you know, move on with our lives from there. Yeah.
Dre stole a lot of my answer.
I'm sorry.
I would say just enjoy the dance. I mean, I think in New York specifically, we're very, like you had mentioned earlier, sometimes we're watching a show and we're kind of like, what's going to happen? We're kind of not looking at it in the most positive way. I think that's just the very competitive New York nature.
Yes.
Yes, that's New York City.
Yeah. So
We do it in sports too. It's
Yes.
all around.
it's everywhere. But it's nice to take a breath and
Yeah.
really just enjoy the dance for what you came into it for. Not everybody comes into the dance looking to perform and to compete. We're looking for a sense of community, to be social, to meet new people. And it's nice to listen to the music too, just to appreciate all of the different parts of it. Enjoy the different kinds of people you meet, the different kinds of things you learn, the different kinds of music that there is, and just be open-minded. You know, the dance community is small, but it's not that small. So it's nice to, you know, go out there and really just be yourself and be open to seeing and knowing other people and what they bring to the table.
Absolutely. I mean, both of your messages are, again, it's very promising, because you realize that in our culture, in our community for so many years, you realize that there are people like yourself that are pushing the culture forward in a positive way, and realize that there's always so much more to learn. We realize a lot of things that are good and bad within our culture, but we are there to help the change. And,
Right.
you know, for me, I definitely thank Will for putting me in contact with you two, because I had known of you guys, but now to have a better connection and understanding, you know, I know, and I'm speaking to people on this platform that I know are making those changes. So I can never say, no, there aren't people pushing the culture forward the right way. They're out there. And with this platform, I'm glad that I can be able to have you both share your stories and experiences and your journeys, you know. And I always tell every one of my guests, this is our first interview, but it definitely won't be our last, because I would love to have you on later this year, getting an update on what you and BAILA Society are doing.
Definitely.
And at least before we go, can I definitely get some contact information for both of you and how we can reach you, and what are, in a sense, if you have the future plans for BAILA Society?
I'm primarily on Facebook. You can find me just my full-on government name, Andre Irving, IRVING. Super easy to find. If the more than one Andre Irving pops up, I'm the one standing on a set of stairs with a bunch of my dancers around me. So, and of course, BAILA Society's Facebook page. You can also catch us on there. And if you want to shoot me an email, andre@bailasociety.com.
Gotcha.
I was a DOE teacher, so my Facebook name is weird. You can find me on Facebook. It's GEE, and then my last name QUE. You can also email me at Gabriela@bailasociety.com. And like Andre said, you can catch us on our Facebook page or also on our Instagram, and our tag is @BAILA Society.
Awesome. And my last question to add was, what with the online feature right now with BAILA Society, do you feel like, at least this year, do you feel like there is a chance with BAILA Society that it can have any type of classes that maybe are in person outdoors, or do you see a future in that, in any possibility?
We've thought of it, and it's right now it's still in the kind of maybe area. Because it's also like, where do we meet and all that stuff, because we are our Perry Dance location is like 2 blocks away from Union Square. But trying to have a class out there is a little hard. People out there playing chess, people are skating.
A lot of craziness going on.
People out there selling stuff. So it's still like, kind of up in there in regards to outdoor lessons at the moment.
Absolutely. I appreciate the honesty. It's been a pleasure having you guys on. It really is. And kind of giving me memories down back memory lane of these socials and events that I've been to. And again, I thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to me and the people on here. And I hope after this, you can look at all of the comments. I think I put on most of them, but there's a lot more that I haven't put up yet. But, definitely from Andre's family. And I think it really is, to be honest, I think even from a gentleman, Luis Quiles, and to be honest, it's amazing because we get to see, especially on this plot. Yes, I found it right here. To see like your relatives and your friends, and can be able to see you in a different light, in a more like just a comfortable format, and just telling your story, and having someone like myself that just wants to listen and learn. That's most important, because I do this on this platform because anyone else can interview you. But when it's a person from the scene who has seen you grow and seen your trajectory, I think it's a lot more responsibility. So, again, I thank you guys so much for coming on. I hope you are staying safe out there. Again, I hope one day when things are a lot better, we can all meet and dance and just talk about all the time we missed. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of hours of dancing and a lot of towels that I need. I know once we get out there, man, we're gonna be dancing every song. If we weren't dancing every song from the begin with, I know we're gonna start.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So again, I thank you guys so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Appreciate being here.
And anything you guys do in the future, please let me know, and I'll definitely share it. Because again, it's about just unity. It's about sharing people's work that are doing stuff. So again, I thank you. I hope all is well. Stay safe, and we will definitely meet up again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Yes, you stay safe. The audience, again, stay safe. Have a good night. And again, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll be back in due time.
Yes.
All right. Peace.
Bye.